Ever pinch pennies all year for that one family vacation only to feel the budget blues afterwards? If so, I was just like you. After 3 vacationless years, I stumbled on credit card rewards travel and cracked the code to amazing vacations that I could actually afford.
Welcome to Wonderland on Points. In this podcast, you will discover how opening credit cards strategically can save you thousands on travel. We're not just dreamers anymore. We're two adventurous moms turning dreams into reality. Join us as we spill all the points and miles secrets.
And contrary to popular belief, you don't have to spend $1 million to earn 1,000,000 points. Traveling on credit card points isn't reserved for those with overflowing bank accounts. It's for everyday people like you and me, learning to turn routine expenses into free travel.
Consider us your points travel guides. This is Wonderland on Points. Let the adventure begin. Welcome back to Wonderland on Points. We are so glad you are here. I'm your host, Mary Ellen, and today we have a really exciting domestic property that we're going to tell you about, Wild Dunes down in Charleston, South Carolina, which I love because I'm a South Carolina native. We are going to get into that. Joanna is here, my beautiful co-host Joanna, and then we have a fabulous guest today. Her name is Kate. You can find her on Instagram at Kate's on a Plane, which is just a fabulous little pun because you are a travel person and you are on a plane and your name is Kate, and that hilarious Snakes on a Plane reference is fantastic. Welcome.
Thank you. It's so exciting to be here.
We are so glad to have you. Very excited to dig into the Wild Dunes property. I've been looking forward to this one. I've been thinking about this property for a long time. I'm so excited to dig in. But before we get there, we need to know more about you. So tell us about your travel style, who you mostly travel with, and then talk to us about your points and miles journey a little bit, how you got started and came to be where you are now and the whole thing.
Yeah, well, I have always loved travel, although my travel style has evolved over the course of my life. So when I was in my 20s and early 30s, I did a lot of traveling, budget traveling when you're young. I studied abroad in Barcelona for a semester when I was in college, and I went all over Europe and traveled a lot when I was, a young professional. And then in my early 30s, I went to grad school. So there were a couple of years where I was on a, grad student budget and just really focusing on getting my degree. And so I wasn't traveling as much. And then I had 2 kids. So I was really focused on just sort of adjusting to parenthood and not doing a lot of travel. Although my family and my in-laws' family both live, neither of them live near us. My family, we are based in Raleigh, North Carolina. My family lives in California. My partner's family lives in New York. So we've always had to fly around a lot to see them. But we didn't travel very much when we had young children, and then COVID happened. And so nobody was traveling for a while. And then when COVID finally subsided, I, became interested in starting to travel with my kids. My youngest daughter was 3 at that point, and I was like, okay, you're out of diapers, you're sleeping through the night mostly. Like, let's do this. Let's go see things. Let's go places. And the first big family trip that we planned at that point was for my birthday. It was a reunion trip with my 2 best friends. We were going to see them in Denver. And just the airfare for that trip, just the round trip plane tickets was $2,000. That wasn't even, we didn't have to pay for lodging or anything, but it was, peak season. It was summer. When you're traveling with kids, you're not going to book the 5 a.m. flight with 2 stops, right?
Right.
So it was so expensive. And I was like, oh my gosh, how are people doing this? How are we going to do this? Like, I really want to start traveling with my family, but I can't do it if it's going to be $2,000 just for a domestic trip, So I started looking into what are some of the other ways that we can make this happen? And one of the other moms in one of my local Facebook mom groups mentioned like, hey, you should really look into this points and miles travel thing. And I started learning about it and just totally went down the rabbit hole. I've done a lot of learning from podcasts like yours. So this is like a really great full circle moment for me to be here with you guys. And actually, my oldest credit card is a travel rewards card. It was a City Premier. Now it's the City Strata Premier. But I had a roommate right after college who convinced me to get it because it used to come with a, free domestic companion ticket, like a buy one, get one free sort of thing. And they stopped doing that at some point, and you had to like book it through the city travel portal. And I was like, all right, well, this isn't really the card that I signed up for, but whatever. I just kept it. And I was always like cashing in my points on Amazon, which is so
Yes.
cringy now. But once I realized kind of like what I had, it was like, oh, like I've been earning these points all along. I just didn't know how to use them. And so I really started gearing up with points and miles probably about a year and a half ago, and have just gone hot and
All
heavy
in.
since then. Yeah. So
That's
now we
incredible.
travel. Now we travel largely as a family. Although my partner and I did just do a trip to Europe, just the two of us, early this summer.
Oh,
And I do some solo travel with my not solo travel, but I do travel with my children, sort of individually as well. We do some like mommy and me trips. I took my son to Paris in February, so we do all kinds of trips.
I think those
I love Mommy
one-on-one
and
kids
Me.
trips, yes, they're so good. It's so special. It's kind of like what we do for my daughter's birthday around here now, and I'm starting to get like more and more elaborate every year because I feel like I have to outdo myself, and I'm like, uh-oh, we have a lot of years left of this. I probably need to slow it down, but that is really, really special. I love that full circle moment. I also just have to say that you have a voice that should be reading audiobooks or something. I feel like you need to be reading like inspirational audiobooks. Your voice is so nice to listen to. And I don't think I've ever said that to anybody on our podcast ever before. I'm just sitting here listening to you like, I could listen to Kate talk all day.
So soothing.
It is.
Well, if my day job doesn't work out, I'll keep that in mind.
Heck
Yes.
yes. There's got to be a way to do that on the side. Just lend your voice to people's projects. Read their audiobooks. It's genius.
So today we're going to get into Wild Dunes. This is a Destination by Hyatt property. What made you think you're in Raleigh, so I don't know if it was just that it was something nice that's not too far away from you. What made you choose Wild Dunes for this was a family trip, right? This was parents and kids, whole family adventure.
Yes, this was the whole family, and my children are 7 and 4. So I have a cousin who lives in Charlotte, which is where I lived for several years as well, Charlotte, North Carolina. And she took her kids to Wild Dunes every summer when they were growing up. And so her kids are older now, they're like in college, adult, like grown up humans. But, when they were kids, I would see every summer these pictures on Facebook of them at this resort that they went back to over and over. And I was like, oh my gosh, that looks so wonderful. But I was never able to make it happen for myself because it's very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also, we're based in Raleigh. We're only 2.5 hours from the beach, and people here are always going to the beach for, like holiday weekends. And there aren't any Hyatts at the beach in the Carolinas except for Wild Dunes. And
Wow.
I love Hyatt. That's where we always redeem our points for hotel stays. So this is our only option for a Hyatt beach trip that is sort of driving distance for us. So I have been wanting to make it happen ever since I started in award travel, and finally did.
That is so exciting. So, what you guys were able to drive, but lots of people do have to fly. Obviously, most of us are coming from further away. Although to be able to have something within driving distance that's this beautiful, what a dream! That's amazing. But for those who are flying in, what are the closest airport options?
Yeah, the closest airport is the Charleston, South Carolina airport, and that airport code is CHS. Be careful because there's also a Charleston airport in West Virginia. So just make sure that you're
Definitely
searching
want to
for
go to the right
flights
state.
to the
Oh
right
my goodness!
Charleston. I was talking to a friend. She was looking at flights and she's like, I'm not seeing the same flights you're seeing. Why is that? And I was like, do you have the right airport? She did
Oh
not have
no!
the right airport.
Oh no!
So Yeah, so the Charleston airport is the closest airport. It's still about 45 minutes away. The resort itself is actually located in Isle of Palms, which is sort of adjacent to downtown Charleston. It's about a 45-minute drive from the Charleston airport. The Charleston airport is served by Southwest. I know we have a lot of Southwest fans in the audience and in award travel in general. So I did note that there are direct flights from both BWI and St. Louis, which I thought might be of
Oh, she did her
particular interest
homework.
to you too. Yeah, so you can fly Southwest to the Charleston airport. It's about a 45-minute drive. I probably would rent a car because it is so far to the resort. There aren't really great public transit options. You could maybe do an Uber, but it's kind of far, and you might want to have a car to go off property as well. So I would probably recommend renting a car.
Does this hotel have free parking?
The self parking is free. The valet parking is $35 a day. I cannot speak to the ease or difficulty of the self parking. We did the valet parking for reasons that we'll discuss, but the self parking would be free.
Okay, that's great. As long as there's a free parking option, I always feel a little bit better about renting a car in these kinds of scenarios. Also, just totally off topic, but not really, Southwest is on my absolute hate list at this point because they've just cut 7 direct routes from St. Louis and actually some from BWI as well, right?
Yeah, few from BWI too. So
Rude.
Southwest is really going through it right now, but I have flown Southwest direct from BWI down to Charleston. It was not to go to Wild Dunes, unfortunately, but I would love to do that. But I did fly direct, and it's such an easy, quick little flight down to Charleston, and it's a beautiful airport. Charleston is a very easy airport to fly in and out of, so it's a great place. Tell us, when you booked this, did you open, say, a Hyatt credit card and already had Hyatt specific points? Did you transfer your points from your Chase Ultimate Rewards over to Hyatt? And then give us the retail value of your stay versus the actual points price that you paid.
So this property is a category 5. I transferred Ultimate Rewards from Chase. It was 90,000 points for 3 nights in a junior suite, which is a standard suite at this property. I did book us straight into a junior suite. I did not open, I have not opened the Hyatt credit card yet. It is definitely on my list. I think it's going to be probably my next Chase personal card. So I booked this in November of 2024. And I believe do you guys remember last summer when they had the 120,000 point welcome offer on the Ink Preferred? And that was when referrals were still 40,000 points also.
Oh,
Like it was
those were
just
the
like
A
great
days.
beautiful
ultimate
time. A
rewards. I
beautiful
know.
time.
So I'm pretty sure that that was the welcome bonus that I used to book this trip.
Ugh,
The cash price of this junior suite we were there for 3 nights, and the cash price would have been $2,163, which is not a vacation that my family was going to pay for, unfortunately.
nope. Not in the budget, especially for a 3-night stay. And now you had something a little bit extra and fun on this trip. You were given a guest of honor booking that you applied to this stay, which is the best. So fun. So, at this particular property, what benefits did that give you? And how did you end up with one of these?
Yes, we really went big on this trip, booking into the suite and having a guest of honor. So, the guest of honor award I am one of those people, like free food is my love language. And so,
Mhm.
the key benefit of the guest of honor for me was the free breakfast. So, guest of honor awards confer all the benefits of globalist status, right? So, we did get that valet parking $35 a day fee waived. We were able to use the valet parking and not have to even deal with our car, which was nice. The way that the Globalist Breakfast works at this property is they give you a $25 voucher per person per day to be used for breakfast. And it works in 2 of the sit-down breakfast restaurants and also 2 of the sort of quick service grab and go food shops that they have on their little shopping strip. I know a lot of times when people get a guest of honor, they do it because they really want an upgrade. We, like I said, booked straight into a suite. We did not receive a complimentary upgrade along with our guest of honor. The property was completely sold out of suites for the weekend that we were there. This was like the last weekend before school started here in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew it was going to be a busy weekend, and I didn't want to rely on kind of like rolling the dice with that complimentary upgrade. We also received late checkout. So I think with a guest of honor, in theory, you're entitled to a 4 p.m. checkout. We didn't want to leave quite that late, so I requested a 2 p.m. late checkout, and that was granted no problem. So that was nice to really have that last day to spend on the beach, in the pool, be able to go back to the room, shower, clean up, and then get in the car like totally clean and not sandy, not being uncomfortable for our 5-hour drive back to Raleigh.
Yes.
Okay, so now Wild Dunes, though, is more than just a hotel. We think of hotels, booking hotel properties. This is a full on resort. So tell us more about the landscape. Are you in a traditional hotel room, like in a standalone hotel building, or does it look a little different?
Yeah, it's an absolutely enormous like compound. Like if you look at a map of Isle of Palms, it's like the whole north end of the island. And there is sort of the hotel component. There are two buildings that are sort of like a traditional hotel format. There are also vacation rentals and timeshares and condos. So it's like a really, really big sprawling compound. They have all kinds of outdoor recreation activities. They have a golf course. They have a whole bunch of tennis courts. They have kayaking, stand up paddle boarding. They have some shopping, some dining. They have an art gallery. So there's a lot there. So the two hotel properties that are in theory available on points are the Boardwalk Inn and the Sweetgrass Inn. And those two hotel buildings are connected by a little promenade that includes restaurants and shops. When you look at points bookings in the Hyatt app or on the Hyatt website, it will like in theory, it looks like you can book both the Boardwalk Inn and the Sweetgrass Inn, but I've only ever seen the Boardwalk Inn available for points. So that was the
Hmm.
building that we stayed in, and both of those buildings have restaurants down in the bottom floor, and pools with them as well. They also have on that promenade, they have some fire pits, and there are in the shops, they sell s'more kits. So if you want to make
Mm,
s'mores at night with your kids, that's really fun. Um,
that
they
is
have a little
cute.
pond. Yeah, there were lots and lots of families there. They have a little pond outside of the Boardwalk Inn that has some turtles in it, and it has a sign saying that there might be alligators in it. We did not see any alligators in it, but my children were just endlessly fascinated by the
I can tell
possibility.
you there are definitely alligators in that part of South Carolina. So many a golf course pond in South Carolina, you can find an alligator. Is there a grocery store on that Greater Wild Dunes property, or do you need to hit a grocery store on your drive in?
You would definitely need to hit one on your way in. There is a shop that has some sort of like markety type things. But if you really want to stock up, our room did include a mini fridge and a microwave. So if you wanted to stock up on some food and supplies, which given the cost of dining there, I would advise.
Mm-hmm.
On the near the airport, there's a Walmart, so that'd be a good place to stop if you're coming from the airport. And then, sort of on the drive from the airport to Isle of Palms, you also pass a Target and a Trader Joe's. So those would be
Ooh,
good places
Trader
to stop.
Joe's.
Yeah, to stop and stock up. Yeah, and even, like, the gas station was kind of, like, back at the entrance to Isle of Palms. Like, we got there and I was kinda like, "Ooh, we're low on gas. We should hit that gas station." So I would definitely kinda get what you need on the way in.
I want to know if there is anything super standout about the junior suite. Like, I assume that you booked into a suite for space reasons, maybe with the whole family, or maybe you just wanted the luxury there. But I guess having not stayed in the standard rooms, maybe you don't know how to compare the two. But was there anything really special about the suite? How's the bathroom? How's the bathtub? How's the shower? I've got questions. It's mostly about the bathroom. Is really all I want to know about because that's what I care about in a suite.
Yeah, we booked the suite just to have more room, particularly
Mm.
for sleeping. Like everyone in my family sleeps better when we're not on top of each other. My youngest, my daughter in particular, sleeps best when she is kind of has a space to herself. So I booked the suite so that we would kind of have that room to spread out and that room for sleeping. So the junior suite had a king bed that was in the bedroom with a door that closed, which is like
Ooh.
such a luxury as a parent, right? Like I remember when I went to the Travel More conference last year, which is where I met you, Joanna. I don't think I met you there, Mary Ellen. I know you were there, but I don't think I actually got a chance to meet you there. But when I went to the Travel More conference last year, we stayed in, I had my daughter with me, and we stayed in the Hyatt House, and we had a 2-bedroom suite there. And it was just like, oh my gosh, this is the way to do it, right? Like just being able to put her in her own room and close the door was so nice. So I've been like chasing that experience ever since. So the bedroom had the king bed, and then in the living room, there was a queen fold out sofa bed. So we put the kids on the sofa bed in the living room, and my partner and I slept in the king bed. We also had a balcony. So our room was facing the ocean. It was overlooking the pool at the Boardwalk Inn. The Boardwalk Inn has the adult only pool, which we didn't actually
Ah.
realize the first night we were there. The first night we were there, we just like, oh, there's the pool. And we went and got in it. And then the next day we saw the sign that said adults only. And I was like, whoops.
Oops.
But
Oopsie
there wasn't
daisy.
anybody else around. So
It's
it was
fine.
but we had a balcony, so there were sliding doors going out to the balcony from both the living room and the bedroom, and we were overlooking the pool, and we had like a tiny sliver of the ocean that we could actually see from our balcony, so that was really nice. The sofa bed I would say was great for the kids. I don't think adults would really appreciate sleeping on it. It was very, very squeaky, and not super duper comfortable. It was also when it unfolded all the way, you couldn't get into the fridge. So that was kind of the
Oh,
folding and unfolding of the,
Design flaw.
yeah, yeah. But again, it was just really, really great to have the space. The bathroom was huge. It was a really spacious bathroom. It had a shower stall. It didn't have a tub. It's nice to have a tub when you have kids. It's just easier to hose them off, but we made it work. The water pressure in the shower was great. That's not always the case when you
That
travel. So that was
matters. That
it really
matters.
does. Yeah. Yeah.
We should
So,
start
it was a
asking
great room.
everybody about the water pressure. Why have we not done that before? That just
the
needs to go
hotel
in
I
our list of
just
questions.
yes, the hotel I just stayed in, it was so weak. Even my daughter, who's 10 years old, she got in the shower, she's like, "Mom, why is the water not coming out very hard?" Like, she could even recognize, "This is not cool, we need water
This is
pressure."
terrible.
This is terrible. Speaking of all of this water and the adults only pool, I was going to ask about the pool situation. If there were multiple pools on the Wild Dunes property that you could enjoy, what they were like. Tell us about the other pool options that are more family friendly.
There are so many pools that we didn't even make it to all of the pools. Like, I was just looking at the
Wow.
resort map that they gave me, and I was like, "Oh, there was a 4th pool. I didn't even know that." So there were plenty of options for swimming. So, again, we were at the Boardwalk Inn, which had the adults-only pool, which was very quiet, very chill, and then the Sweetgrass Inn, which was, like, maybe a 5-minute walk away. If you weren't walking with a 4-year-old, you could probably make it in less than 5 minutes. But the family pool was over there, and that pool really had something for every age. So they had a splash pad for like the babies and the toddlers. They had a section of the pool that was just 1 foot deep for those like new walkers. There was a side of the pool that was 0 entry. There was another pool that was like, I don't know, 5.5 feet deep, that was more of a like big kid pool. And then they had a hot tub as well. My kids really like the hot tub.
Nice. That's amazing. It's got literally something for every age of kid.
It really did. And we were at that pool at all different times of day, and we never had a hard time finding a pool, a chair to sit at. Like, it was never crowded. The resort never felt crowded, even though I know it must have been busy because, again, the suites were sold out. But it never felt crowded, and we never had any trouble finding a place to sit. They did have a sign out saying that if your belongings were left unattended on a chair for 30 minutes or more, that they would move them. So I think, and I never saw them doing that, but I think just they're kind of proactive about making sure that people aren't just like parking their stuff on chairs all day.
Aha. No chair Olympics there. No going out and staking your claim at 6 a.m. and then leaving your stuff for hours while you wander away.
And one thing about the pool that might be important to some folks, there were no lifeguards at any of these pools. So just something to know, like, it's not the kind of pool where you can like read a book while your kid swims. You kind of have to, be more active
Watch
and
them,
engaged. Yeah.
parent
Actually
them.
watch them. Were
Darn
the
it.
towels microchipped?
The towels were microchipped. Yep, you had to. So the room keys were on a wristband. I have my room key here actually.
Oh, cool.
Um, the room keys were on a wristband, so you could wear it. It was really easy. You could just wear it and not have to worry about like losing it or digging it out of a beach bag. And so you would scan your room key on the towel. There was like a big towel, like refrigerator looking thing, and then take out as many towels as you wanted. And they said that if you didn't return them by like 9 p.m., you could be charged for them. But I know at some other resorts, folks have had issues with like incorrect pool towel charges, but I never saw any towel charges on our bill. So it seems like the system there is working the way that it should. And they also had a ping pong table at that pool and a bar and kind of like a little like taco restaurant and a little like taco truck even that was like off to the side of the pool. So you could really just like
Ooh.
hang out there all day.
That sounds so nice. I am curious though about the beaches. So the pools are great. Is the beach walkable from the resorts? Can you just kind of walk out and access it? Are there chairs? What's the setup like there for the beach?
The beach is very walkable. So the beach access is from the boardwalk inn where we were staying. So we just had to go downstairs, kind of walk through the adults only pool area. And then there's a very short boardwalk. I guess that's why they call it the boardwalk inn, that has a little gift shop and like a store selling like beach toys and sunscreen and all that kind of stuff. And then at the end of that boardwalk is the beach access. So at the end of that boardwalk, they actually also have two more pools. So there are two oceanfront pools where you can be in the pool
Ooh.
overlooking the ocean.
That's it. That's it for me. I love
Really
a,
nice.
a pool by the ocean.
Yeah. Those pools were a little bit chillier, I will say. The family pool was like a very comfortable, like bathwater sort of temperature. The pools by the ocean were a little bit chillier, but that felt pretty good after like sitting out in the sun on the beach for several hours. So yes, it was a very, very short walk to get to the beach. And there's like a little restaurant, like a quick service casual restaurant and a bar down at the beach, and those two oceanfront pools. And then to get out on there, it's all gated. And so you can just walk out onto the beach. To get back into the resort, you do need to have your key card wristband. You didn't need these. They would like in theory, they were checking them when you'd go into the pool, but the kids didn't they didn't even give them to my kids. So it was just pretty much the adults that needed these. But if you had, 5 people in your party, it wouldn't be a problem. But you do need them to get back into the resort from the beach. The beach was very, very nice, a really nice sort of fine sand beach. They do have beach umbrellas and beach chairs that you can rent. Those rentals are a little bit steep at $50. It was $50 a day for them when we were there. They have them divided into 3 zones. So they have like the center zone and then like the left and the right. They call them different colors. Like if you go in to try to reserve one, you pick a zone. They were all the same price when I was there, and they're all very close to that entrance to the resort. So if there was a price difference, I would definitely choose the cheaper one because none of them were terribly far. And yeah, the beach was really, really
$50
lovely.
per chair for the whole day.
$50. I think $50 might have been for one umbrella and 2 chairs. I think we brought our own. We did not rent them, so I'm not positive, but that was my impression.
Yeah, I'm about to be laying a towel down on a beach before I'm going to be spending $50 on a chair rental. That's a hard pass for me. But it
And
is
I'll
good to
wave at
know.
you from the pool because I won't be down on the sand at all.
No sand for Mary Ellen. It is good to know, though, that it's a nice, beautiful beach, walkable, easy access. Those are always things that people want to know. What time of the year were you there?
We were there mid-August.
Okay, so even in mid-August, you found the pool to be a little chilly. How was the ocean water? Did you guys get in at all?
Oh yeah, the ocean water was really a really comfortable temperature. I grew up in California where the ocean is like cold. So the East Coast beaches to me, the ocean feels very, very, very warm. But yeah, in August in South Carolina, the ocean is very comfortable.
Okay,
You
good.
do
I
have to
just
watch
wanted
out for jellyfish though. We didn't see
Ah!
any, but like southern beaches, that is a thing. So just if you see something that looks like a plastic bag floating in the water, don't touch it.
Run away.
Do not. Did you happen to see any sand dollars? When I was little, we would go to a place in South Carolina called Fripp Island, and Fripp Island happened to have tons of sand dollars. We would always find lots and lots of sand dollars. So that's what I think of when I think of South Carolina beaches, although not all South Carolina beaches have those.
We didn't see any sand dollars, but we did see these fish like jumping out of the water, like very close to shore. I don't know what that was about, but these fish were like jumping all over the place. And then these pelicans came in and they were like diving to catch the fish. So my kids were really into that. It was really cool.
That's so fun. While we're talking about activities, I have a little tidbit that I want to share that I researched about Wild Dunes because, Joanna, I know you like history. So I think that you will like this. I think
I
this is a
do. I do like
Okay.
history.
All
Hit
right.
me.
Hopefully, this will be good then. The Wild Dunes Links Golf Course played a big role in the Revolutionary War when Lord Cornwallis, command of 2,000, landed there with a plan to cross Breach Inlet to Sullivan's Island to attack Fort Moultrie from the rear. I remember Fort Moultrie from growing up in South Carolina and doing field trips as a kid. The English were met and held at bay with a force of 600 North and South Carolina regulars, a company of militia, even the Catawba Indians. Not a single British soldier was able to cross over to Sullivan's Island that day. It was America's first major victory in the South for the Revolutionary War, right there on the 18th hole, apparently, of Wild Dunes Golf Course.
That's crazy. I love that. Yeah, those are the kinds of things that I want to know when I'm staying at a property. Give me all the weird history tidbits. 100%. That's so
Kate,
good.
did you guys see the golf course, this famed 18th hole? Did you do any of the other activities that you mentioned that they have available there?
We didn't do any of the other activities on property. My kids were so content to just be frolicking in the pool and running around on the beach and building a sandcastle. And let me tell you guys, the bar at the end of the boardwalk has a frozen Irish coffee that is
Ooh.
so good. It reminds me of the one that they have in the Capital One Lounge in Dallas, which I love so much. And I haven't flown through Dallas in a while. So it was very, very tasty. So no, we spent most of our time at the pools and the beaches. There is a little playground near the tennis courts. They have a huge tennis complex. And they said that the tennis courts are free after 12 p.m. So if you're a tennis player, bring your racket. And there's also a little playground there. So my kids played on the playground for a little bit. But on property, we pretty much just did the beaches and the pools, and everyone was just so happy to be doing that.
That sounds like my kind of trip these days. I feel like I need so long to recover from all of the things I did in London that I just need some more frolicking trips. That sounds amazing. Okay, let's talk food. Because this is not an all inclusive and we know the food is expensive, but you did have the guest of honor, which means the free breakfast. So start with telling us what that free breakfast included and what you guys used it for since you had those vouchers. I guess you had lots of options. It wasn't just one spread. And then talk to us about the best way to do lunch and dinner, maybe without breaking the bank. And also if you have any great dishes that you tried, we would like to know about those too.
Yes. So we had breakfast. 2 of the mornings we ate at Coastal Provisions, which is the restaurant inside the Boardwalk Inn. And then the last morning we ate at Oyster Catcher, which is the restaurant inside the Sweetgrass Inn. The menus are very similar. It was nice to order off of the menu, I have to say. I've done several Hyatt stays where we had a club access award. And so we would get like a buffet style breakfast in the club, which I do like better for kids. My kids do better when they can just kind of see everything and pick what they like. But for me, being able to order off the menu was really lovely. They had a farmer's omelet that was really, really good. Our server also was really wonderful. All the servers we had were wonderful and very attentive to dietary restrictions. Our whole family is vegetarian and they were really great with helping us ensure that everything we were getting, the omelet I ordered had bacon in it and I didn't realize. And when I ordered it, she was like, "Oh, wait, do you want that without the bacon?" And I was like, yes, I do. Thank you very
That's
much.
great.
Wow, that's so good.
So they were super helpful. We never even saw the bill for our breakfasts, but every day we had ordered like 2 adult entrees, 2 kid entrees, probably 2 or 3 espresso drinks, and then kid beverages also. And all of that was covered. So I'm not sure if it's like that was all under $100 or if they just kind of like waved a hand and kind of wiped out the whole thing for us. The entrees.
I love the waving of a hand,
Oh.
the wiping out of all things. That sounds great.
Yes.
It was really nice. It was really nice. The entrees at breakfast were between like $17 and $25, I would say, depending on what you get. And then the kids' meals were more like $11, $12, something like that. For lunch, we mostly just had a light, like we would really like load up at breakfast and try to like eat all of the things. And then for lunch, we usually did something light from like the grill down on the beach. So we would get like some nachos and some French fries and just try to keep it light and like keep costs down for the lunch, right? So the grill down by the beach, the entrees are in the like $15 to $20 range, and then the like more like snacky stuff like the fries and the soft pretzel, that's more like $11 or $12. The drinks at the drinks like the fruity umbrella like frozen drinks are in from like $15 and up, I would say.
Ouch.
And then for dinner, yeah. I mean, it's those resort prices. So having that guest
Yep.
of honor was so great because we had this like fabulous meal and just didn't pay a dime for it 3 mornings in a row.
Yeah,
So
that's
Did
that
you
was
tell
amazing.
really
us how
lovely.
you got your hands on that guest of honor? Was it gifted to you? I don't think you earned it, right? Because you don't have a Hyatt credit card yet. Not that you have to. You can earn them just through the Hyatt loyalty program. But how did you get that guest of honor booking?
Yeah, so there are Facebook groups where you can trade Hyatt awards. That is technically against the World of Hyatt program terms and conditions. So I'm not saying that I did that, but I'm not saying that I did that.
Mary Ellen
But
has
that is a place that you
completely
can go.
come out and said that she's done it. So this is a safe place here.
Okay, good.
I do love those Facebook groups. So I'm glad to know that you were able to successfully get an award there. Not saying that you traded for something, but if someone, you know, hypothetically had traded for something, what was the trade? Because I do think it's helpful to know the value of awards.
My impression, so I think last year there were a lot of people because last year was the year that globalists had like basically a bunch of extra guest of honors. So I think
Mhm.
last year they were a little easier to come by. My impression is that now one free night award will get you two guest of honors. That's about the trade that I'm seeing. So if you earn a free night award through the credit card, through the milestone awards, or through the brand explorer. So you mentioned at the top, this is a destination by Hyatt property, and there aren't a lot of those. So this is a good way to check that off on the brand explorer. But those are all some ways that you can get a free night award.
You can trade your bingo night. I just earned
Yeah.
one, guys. I feel like I almost want guest of honors more than I want that free night. I don't know, because it's only category 1 through 4. Not only, there's plenty of great categories, 4s and others, but guest of honor is fun.
Yeah, free night certificates are actually really powerful in those trading groups. And I learned the hard way that they were worth more than I initially thought they were. So try to do your research in if you do find yourself in one of those groups just to figure out what it's really worth before you make a trade. I also, while we're kind of talking about the loyalty program and the credit cards, I know that Kate, you mentioned you don't yet have a Hyatt card, but you did do some research on this property. And I want to point out to everybody like myself who does have a Hyatt co-branded credit card, a lot of times we use those credit cards on property because it earns extra point multipliers. When you spend, when you are at Hyatt and you use the Hyatt card, you get more points, big time multipliers. Unfortunately, sometimes at these resorts, that doesn't always work. They don't always get the multiplier you think it's going to. And I believe in your research you found out that for Wild Dunes, that's common that you don't see the big multiplier.
Yes. So even if you don't have the World of Hyatt credit card, just being a World of Hyatt member, when you stay at a Hyatt property, you earn points on the money that you spend for this day. So when we drove down, we actually spent the night, we stopped halfway and spent the night at the Hyatt Place in Florence, South Carolina. And I earned 5 points. I paid cash for that stay. I earned 5 points per dollar for that stay because as a World of Hyatt member, and then I'm a Discoverist, so you get a 10% bonus on top of that. So whether you have the credit card or not, you typically earn points on your spend at Hyatt properties. However, there are some properties where the restaurants and like dining and shopping, are not owned by Hyatt and or they just like
Mm,
don't participate in Hyatt earning? I don't know. And I had seen some posts in the World of Hyatt Insider Facebook group where people had said, hey, I stayed at this property and I charged everything to my room. How come I didn't earn points on it? And it turns out that it's because this is one of those properties where charging those things to your room does not do you any favors. You will not earn any Hyatt points through the World of Hyatt program for that. You will still earn whatever credit card you're using to pay. Like if I was using my Ink Preferred that gets 3x on travel, like I would still get 3x through my credit card, but I didn't earn any points from Hyatt for the stay. So all of the dining that we did on site, I just paid for it there. I didn't charge it to my room. So I would say use whatever card you have that is most beneficial for dining. I got the double points for the first year offer on the Freedom Unlimited. So I'm earning 6x on dining this year. So that was the card that I
So
used
good.
for all of our dining.
That's one of the best sleeper offers out there. It does not get talked about enough, and then you can't always get it, but sometimes people get that double for a year on one of those Chase Freedoms, and that's awesome.
It was
Yeah,
available for about 48 hours in March, and I jumped on it.
stupid. And while we're talking about offers, guys, I literally just before we hopped on this recording, so I have to verify. And if I find out this is not the case, then we'll have to cut this. But if this is the case, I heard that Chase just bumped up the offer on the reserve card to 125,000 points. And I literally heard that just seconds before hopping on this call. So if that is the case, that's a lot of points to go towards your trip to the Wild Dune. And we know we already did a whole episode about that massive annual fee, but like we've said a million times, the first year is almost always worth it. So if you have not gotten a Sapphire bonus yet, we will put a link for that in the show notes because I feel like this is the kind of property where a bonus like that goes very, very far. So anyways, since we were talking cards anyways, I thought I should just drop that in.
That is very interesting to know. I wonder, my wheels are spinning. This is hot off the press. I had not heard about that since it is breaking news as of when we're recording this, which is
This is the
late August,
21st.
actually.
Yeah, August 21st.
August 21st. It's making me wonder if there were less people that signed up for it than they had hoped, and now they want to attract more people. I wonder if they will match all of those people who did just sign up for it, who hopefully some of them will contact them and say, hey, you better give me these extra points.
Well,
Very
the original
interesting.
offer, wasn't it 100,000 points plus a $500 travel credit? Wasn't that the offer? So basically those extra 25,000 points are taking the place of that $500 travel credit. Is that
But
right?
that $500 travel credit had to be used all at one time and had some weird stipulations. It was not great, in my opinion. So I would personally much rather have 25,000 Chase points to do with as I please and don't have to use through a portal all at one time. That's such a crazy, crazy thing to make people do with a credit. So yeah, I kind of agree, Mary Ellen. I feel like maybe people were just not as enticed and they did this whole rebrand and they're like, people are gonna love us. And then people were like, But also
Interesting.
they might not have as many people signing up because they're just denying people left and right who have already had the preferred bonus, which is I have thoughts. Anyways, that's not what this episode is about. I'm so sorry for derailing us there.
It is okay. It is very interesting. We love talking about these things. It's fun just thinking about them. Okay, so let's get back to Wild Dunes or just the greater Charleston area in general. You did mention that you guys went off property. Charleston has so much to offer. It's an incredible destination, a wonderful place to visit. So what are some of the things that you guys did off property in the Charleston area?
Yes, I love Charleston. I have spent a lot of time there, but this was my first time bringing my family there. So, the first day that we got into town, it was actually like pouring rain. And I will say one thing about Wild Dunes is it's an amazing place to do the beach and the pool, and there's not a lot of indoor activities. So, if there is inclement weather in the forecast, I would definitely have some activities planned, probably in the greater Charleston area. So, downtown Charleston has a ton of really, really awesome things to do. And I'm not sure I would want to do a lot of the like outdoor walking activity type stuff in Charleston in August. If you are not familiar with South Carolina in the summer, it is very hot and very humid. So just take that into account for your planning. So the things that we did were largely indoors, and they were actually in the North Charleston area. So North Charleston is outside of the historic downtown Charleston area, but very close to the airport. So if you were flying in or out, these would be some things that you could do sort of on your way to or from the resort. So we stopped at the North Charleston Fire Museum. This is only 10 minutes from the airport, and I would say that this is a great attraction for kids, probably ages 10 and under. Admission for the four of us was only $12. So it was a pretty inexpensive way to spend our afternoon. They had a whole like garage sort of size room full of antique fire trucks. They had fire safety exhibit. They had a slide and like a firehouse pole that kids could go down. They had a station where kids could make their own little like fire badges and a display of different badges from different firehouses all over the country. And they had like a sort of an animatronic, like movie show sort of thing about fire investigation. And my kids loved that so much they watched it twice. So this is, I would say, a really good way to kill like 1 or 2 hours if you are near the airport and looking for something fun and family friendly to do. Very nearby that museum is an enormous playground called Park Circle Playground. Again, it was pouring rain when we were there, so we were not able to stop and play there, but it looked amazing and it was absolutely huge. So again, if you have kids who need to get the wiggles out before or after a flight, I would absolutely stop there. And then we had lunch that day at a really great restaurant very near that playground. This is all like in the same area in North Charleston called Sesame Burgers and Beer. And they had a fantastic veggie burger, a black bean burger. So if there's any other vegetarians out there, that's your place to stop in North Charleston. There's also an aquarium in downtown Charleston, the South Carolina Aquarium. We didn't go to that. We just didn't make it there. But one thing I think people should know about that is that they use kind of like a dynamic pricing model where the tickets get more expensive the closer you get to your date. So if you want to do the aquarium, I would definitely plan for that and plan to buy your tickets early because they were kind of expensive. Like if you were buying them short notice, they were like $45 for adult admission. So kind of pricey. So if you want to do the aquarium, plan around that. There's also a children's museum. Again, we didn't make it to that either, but these are all just sort of indoor family friendly activities in the Charleston area.
That is all so great. And on this show, we really love a playground where children can get their wiggles out. I just said people and then pictured a bunch of adults running around on a playground.
Well,
I don't know.
Get my wiggles out.
I
too
need to get my
sometimes.
wiggles out after a long flight. Absolutely. Okay, so as we're wrapping up here, do you have any other general money saving tips or words of wisdom that you could offer someone who wanted to book this property? Anything you wish you'd do differently or would definitely encourage people to follow in your footsteps?
Yeah, so I have three suggestions for saving money on this trip. The first, which we've already touched on, is just stop at one of these grocery stores and buy all of the snacks. Like we brought snacks and we should have brought more snacks. So get all of the snacks, get all of the food. Those beach umbrellas and chairs, I really we brought our beach umbrella and some chairs, and I realized that because who am I kidding? I have two little kids. I'm not sitting down. So in retrospect, we probably actually didn't need them. But if you are planning to sit on the beach and want to be in the shade, like honestly, at $50 a day, it might very well be cheaper to stop at that Walmart or that Target and buy some. And you can order ahead and do like a pickup order and just drive up and grab it on your way in. So if that's important to you, and if you're staying for 4 days or more, that might actually be the cheaper way to go. The last suggestion I have is that if you have a Resi credit from the American Express Personal Gold Card, there's a restaurant on Sullivan's Island. If you're willing to venture off property, it's about 20 minutes from Wild Dunes. It's called the Obstinate Daughter. I didn't go there on this trip, but I went there on a previous trip, and it is absolutely fantastic. So that's another way to save some money on a dinner if you are willing to leave the property. The place where we had dinner most nights when we were there was they have a sort of a pizza place called Coastal Crust. That was where we ate. And we were able to get dinner for the four of us. We would get like a pizza. They had really good salads, a pizza, a salad, and then like a kid's pasta. And I would get like a beer, and usually all of that was like around $70. So that was what we did
Okay.
for dinner most nights.
Reasonable.
I
Well,
love a good
Kate,
use of the Resi credit.
I know. I was actually just thinking that I think it's time again. I think the one that
It
I
is.
accidentally, I don't think I told this on the podcast, and I'm just going to tell it really quick because it's such a sad, sad story, and don't be like me. I used mine on New Year's Eve in San Diego, and thinking I was saving last year's credit for this, it did not end up posting to my account for several days, and it just took my this year's January through June credit. So this entire time, I basically just missed out on one entirely by trying to wait for like my special New Year's Eve dinner in San Diego. It's going to be so great. No, wasn't great. Took a whole, it was 2 Resi credits. So anyways, now I'm excited because I think it's time again, right?
Yeah.
We're
July
late
1st,
enough.
it reset.
I think I'm going to save it. I think I'm going to use it in New Orleans. I'm going in a few days early for anyone who's coming to the Travel Mart conference and also might want to come in a few days early. We could have a Resi meal. There's no way there's not some Resi restaurants in New Orleans.
Well, Kate, thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited that you are a part of our Wonderland on Points community. And where can people find you? Remind them where they can find you online.
Yes, thank you. So I am on Instagram and Facebook under Award Travel with Kate's on a Plane. And I also have a good old-fashioned blog. So I really enjoy writing kind of more long form about award travel and credit cards. And so if you want to read some longer pieces, then you can find me at katesonaplane.com.
Amazing. And I will link your Instagram, your Facebook, and your blog all in the show notes. So it's very, very easy for people to find you. If you want to send me like a specific article to link on Wild Dunes, if you've done one, I can do that as well. Thank you so much for spending an hour of your day with us. We really appreciate you being here. And I am sad we won't get to see you in person again, but I am happy that you were here today. This was such a good episode.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun chatting with you guys, and I am sure that our paths will cross again, maybe at a different Hyatt property. I actually met another Points and Miles content creator at a hotel in Portugal, so you never know.
That's so fun.
Wow. That is so random. I love that so much. Yeah, you just never know. The Points and Miles community is actually relatively small, so I do feel like the paths will cross and it will be beautiful. Thank you so much again. And everyone, we will see you here next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this show today, please consider writing us a review or clicking 5 stars wherever you listen to your podcasts. And please subscribe and follow along so that you never miss an episode.
You can follow the podcast on Instagram or YouTube at Wonderland on Points Podcast. You can find me on Instagram at Family Travel for the Win with the number 4.
And you can find me on Instagram at Points to Wonderland.
If you're thinking about getting a new Travel Rewards credit card, consider using the links in our show notes. Using our links helps to support us and keep our podcast going so we can provide you with all the latest tips and tricks when it comes to traveling on points.
And if you aren't sure which card is right for you, shoot us an email at wonderlandonpoints@gmail.com, and we would be happy to walk you through a free card consultation. That's also a great place to send us all of your comments and questions. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you here next time.